What's up, guys? Mad Fragger. I'm back again with another review, and today we're going to talk about fairly new fragrance from Lataffa, and it is Teriaq Intense. There was an original fragrance Teriaq. I've never smelled that one, but this is apparently a flanker of that. And this fragrance been kind of getting the rounds. I've been seeing it pop up here and there. It's getting a little bit of hype, and I've got this makes 21 Lataffas for me, so I just keep building the Lataffa collection. And this one, in my opinion, I've only spent a small amount of time with this. I've given it a wear and a test spray. But in my opinion, on this fragrance here, uh, it's basically just a greatest hits of some other Lataffa fragrances. Like if you have smelled a few Lataffas or familiar with the house, and you know what a few of those kind of predominantly the cooler weather style of fragrances, warm, spicy kind of cool weather fragrances. This one to me is kind of just like a greatest hits from a few different Lataffa fragrances that are in that kind of space. And I mean, it's absolutely great. I really love this fragrance. It's as opposed to a lot of the fragrances that Lataffa drops, and they do drop a lot of them. They're usually inspired by another fragrance. This one is actually supposed to be a unique, take from Lataffa, like something unique and on its own that's not inspired by anything else. But the thing is, in my opinion, it turned out being one that is inspired by a lot of different things. And in particular, these four Lataffas that I have here are four that I've caught a slight influence in this fragrance. From all of these, you got Lataffa Camera. Everybody knows this guy here. This one has got the cinnamon and the sweetness, and there's a little bit of date in here that gives you just a slight kind of fruity undertone. But everybody loves this sweet, warm, spicy fragrance, Lataffa Camera, and you do get a definite Camera feel out of this. I'd say out of all these, that's probably the one that you're gonna recognize the most. Does that mean that this fragrance is redundant if you have Lataffa's Camera? In my opinion, no. I think this fragrance is, a unique creation that's got a little bit of a lot of things, and when it but it comes together in a great harmony. Quentin Bish perfumed this, and obviously he knows what he's doing, and the way he brings all the notes together in this is fantastic. Um, if I was going to speak about this in general terms, I would say that I would describe it as Lataffa Camera with a beautiful, sweet, juicy, fruity aspect to it, like that fruity kind of plum aspect to it, much in the way that Camera Kawa is like Camera with the added coffee note. Now, granted, that added coffee note in Kawa, from what I hear, is not very long lasting, doesn't stick throughout the fragrance very much. I don't know. I've never tried Kawa, to be honest with you, but I can see that being like a viable comparison as far as this one. I think a lot of people might just on the surface say this is Camera with some plum, Camera with a plum note, but it's really not, because the way that the everything's kind of brought together, all these bits and pieces are brought together into this one, is it comes off absolutely fantastic. Another fragrance that I think is similar to this kind of like shares a vibe with is the original Lataffa Kaid, which is one of my favorites. You got saffron and cinnamon and some benzoin in this one, and the way that the saffron and the cinnamon kind of vibe together in a couple of these gives you a little bit of just a slight kind of boozy feel. Um, Especially this next one. This is Cherie, Lataffa Cherie. Again, saffron, cinnamon, but and I think benzoin in this one too. But the thing is, this one, the way that they come together in this one, really, this fragrance here really has a great boozy feel to it, and you do get that booziness here in Teriaq. I'm sorry, I just spaced on the name for a second. You do get that booziness in Teriaq as well. And then last but not least, Eternal Oud from Lataffa. This fragrance has a beautiful plum in it that the way the plum's used in this fragrance in Eternal Oud, I feel like the plum in this is kind of very similar. It's not overbearing or overpowering, and you're not going to really, it's not distinct. Like it doesn't come across as, oh, that's definitely plum, right? Like it's not like, damn, boom, that's a plum fragrance. Like it's not like that, but it is distinguishable as plum, but more so as like a really nice fruity, almost candied fruity kind of vibe going on. But yeah, this one here, Teriaq Intense. This is basically just like a few different like influences of a few different fragrances, not just in particular these four that I have here by any means. These are just some examples of fragrances that I felt, from Lataffa that kind of like, bore some influence in this fragrance. But it's an all star. It's a greatest hits. It's a number ones number ones album. Like it's just kind of like a best of when you're talking about warm, spicy, cozy, um, sweet, vanillic, like cool weather fragrances, comforting, warm, soothing kind of fragrances like that. They're just to kind of embrace you like a warm hug. Those style of fragrances, it's like a greatest hits of those, and they did a great job. It came together awesome, and the performance on this one, really good. Now I will say this: the atomizer, it's not the best atomizer that I have in my collection by any means, but it gets the job done. For this is a little bit more on the pricey side as far as Lataffas go. This one's a little, at least right now. Maybe it'll go down in price as the time goes on, but for right now, it's a little bit on the pricey side. When I say that, I mean usually you're in that kind of $30 is kind of like the midline for these clone Middle Eastern clone fragrances, and this one's like I think I paid 42 for this. So I don't know. And the bottle, it's they give you this kind of fancier, little fancier presentation with the snake on the top and everything. And I just feel like a pressurized atomizer would have been in order here, but it definitely doesn't have as shitty of an atomizer as Camera does. Which I'm sorry, but I love that fragrance. I just feel like maybe it's just my bottle. It could be just my bottle. Who knows? But I can tell you this: the atomizer on my Camera is garbage. It's just trash. So the atomizer on this, good, gets the job done, not great. And another thing about this fragrance I feel like I should share with you is when you test this fragrance on a test strip, it's one of those that's going to be drastically different experience on the test strip than off your skin. This is an off your skin fragrance. When this comes off your skin, it's great. Um, and before I wrap this up, I know I started to touch on the performance there, but I didn't elaborate. It's great. I get great projection off of this. Really cuts through the cold in the cold weather, and great scent cloud around me for a good amount of time. Like this is gonna push off you for a good like heavy for a good 2 hours, and then a little bit less, a little bit more moderate for the next 3 or 4 hours, and then near the end of the fragrance, it's gonna kind of die back where you're just gonna get a whiff here and there, but it does stick around really good, and it does project pretty good. Like I would give this in as far as performance goes, I would put this as like a 8.5, almost 9 out of 10 as far as performance as compared to everything in my collection. So it does perform really well. I'd say 8.5 is fair. Um, yeah, good performer. So Lataffa Teriaq Intense. This is, like I said, in my opinion, greatest hits of a few different winter cool weather type of fragrances put into one, and they're kind of giving you all those things that you love about cool weather winter fragrances in one bottle, and definitely worth picking up. I definitely feel like it's okay to pick this up even if you have any of these other fragrances, or for that matter any other fragrances that may come across similar to this, but this is going to do it unique enough that it's worth picking up, guys. So Teriaq Intense by Lataffa. I say this is one to pick up, in my opinion. It is really good. I'm the Mad Fragger. Thanks for joining me for another video. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did that. I will see you next time.